Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another episode of Shouting into the Void. Where luckily this week we have been able to go outside. Whether we have or not,
Yay!
who knows? But
Briefly,
but we are allowed to go outside. Unfortunately, we're still not allowed in the same room, so we're still continuing this format across the internet. And we've been doing it for a full series. We've reached episode 13, The Parting of the Ways. So, as I should explain, this is a weekly episode show where we go through episodes of Doctor Who from 2005 series one onwards. I'm sure we'll touch on spin-offs, Classic Who, all kinds of stuff in between. And yeah, it's been literally 13 weeks of doing this, which seems like madness, to be honest.
yeah. I'm surprised we actually did a full run.
I know we might stop now. This will be it. We'll never do it again. We'll just stop
Yeah.
with series one. Obviously, it is our intention to continue, and we'll we'll round off series one with this last one. It's we say goodbye to a companion and a doctor. It's Christopher Eccleston's last episode ever for now, and it's John Barrowman's last episode. But obviously, he does return as a companion in later seasons. So that's not as heartbreaking as saying goodbye to Christopher Eccleston. And it's the finale. It's the part two of a two-parter that started last week. Rose is trapped on a Dalek spaceship. Jack and the Doctor are with some workers on the space station, which was showing old game shows that people would take part in and die and be killed and transmatted to the Daleks in the year 200, 100 or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we pick up with the Doctor going to save Rose. What were your thoughts?
I bloody loved it. So good.
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed the first part anyway, but I'm glad we're free of the game show stuff. And it was all just Doctor goodness, Dalek goodness, Jack goodness, Rose airness. And yeah, I think it was a very satisfying conclusion to the series as a whole, to the Ninth Doctor's story arc. And well, it naturally has to set up the future because the Doctor changes, which is very exciting. I remember being very confused when I first watched it. I knew the Doctor changed, but because obviously I knew from my dad and granddad, they did not shut up about Doctor Who growing up. But it still took me by surprise, I guess, because it looked different than it had in the classic series, complete revamp and everything. But yeah, I think high stakes, high emotions, kind of, an all around really good finale for me anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with one of my favorite episodes of the series, I think. I have some issues, but nothing like too major that makes me think, oh, this is the worst. The character beats in this are great. It does sort of resolve the arcs for most of them. It sets up some arcs for the future. There is some character development for some. There's not some for others. And yeah, just the having this like seemingly massive fight between the Daleks and this game station. The premise is good, and I just love when I see the Daleks as a force, being this menacing army rather than, seeing 4 or 5 that we see in the future, more or less.
Yeah.
But yeah, so normally we have 3 worsts and 3 bests. As this is a series finale, we might have more, we might have less, and it also depends on sort of personal taste. But we try and stick to 3 main ones. So we'll start with your first best bit then, really.
Christopher Eccleston. And I've kind of combined them both, Christopher Eccleston and the Ninth Doctor. I've kind of put them together because I thought it makes sense. Didn't realize I made a joke when I wrote this down, but I put fantastic performance because that's his catchphrase. And yeah, it's his last episode, so I'm glad he really kind of brought it home as he always did. So yeah, he was fantastic. He really definitely carried some of the emotional moments as well. Even when he's not supposed to be in scenes with people in a way, he's just a hologram. He's still incredible. when he's just staring down a giant CGI Dalek Emperor. He's really good. And yeah, just the Ninth Doctor's arc as a whole, I think, is brought to really great conclusion. The hologram scene is great. I love his regeneration scene and his speech that he gives. You know, it's kind of a celebration of what he's accomplished and the fact that he's kind of embracing what comes next, as opposed to the broken man I think we first met, where he probably didn't really care if he lived or died per se. He's kind of found that lease of life now. It's kind of full circle with him being faced with having to wipe out 2 races all over again, everything like that. He was just phenomenal, and rightly so for his last episode.
Yeah, he's the top of mine. I've got sort of 2 points for his. One's his regeneration, which I think is a solid regeneration. It's different to the next regeneration because it's got the companion there that knows him. So it's not just the Doctor talking to himself and sort of saying goodbye to everyone quietly. It's a proper, hi, I'm the first person you met. I'm gonna pop off now, even though he doesn't explain it very well, and they never explain it to the companion very well. There is always the, oh my god, I can't believe they've done this thing.
They need to for the plot.
Yeah. But yeah, his whole speech looking back at his life, and sort of hinting at what might come next, especially with the I might have no head line. It's great. And then also, you know, the first scene when you see him versus the Dalek Emperor and the Daleks, he can just flip between that charming sort of jokey man to the I am furious with you and I will kill you all.
Yeah, that bit where he's like smiling at the Daleks and he heads back into the TARDIS and you just see him like listening against the door as the Daleks are trying to extend. Oh, so good.
Even that, and then when he's just chatting normally and then he just turns around and yells at them and then comes back to chatting normally. I'm like, okay.
And the biggest mood of all, his face when Linda dies.
Yes. We'll come on to that. Yeah, I mean, if you consider where he was at the start of this, just coming off the back of the Time War, having killed 2, the fact that you can literally see that arc now where he is not willing to kill a whole race, even if it sort of saves another. Which I don't know. I'm torn on it because I don't know if it's something his Doctor would do, but at the same time, I think it is something his Doctor would do, because we've had episodes where he does like have mercy on some people and he doesn't, you know, it's Dalek is one of them where he doesn't kill the Dalek in the end. But then we've got other ones like Boomtown where he's like, no, I'm gonna take you back to die, soz.
And Cassandra, where he's just like, oh, you're gonna blow up, are you? Okay.
But I guess that's, you know, those cases have always been they've been the bad guys. This one was a case of this could kill the whole of Earth.
Yeah.
And although later on in the show we find out the Time Lords weren't the best anyway, they still were. The majority of people on Gallifrey were innocent. And he did it then, and he lives with that regret, and that's why he doesn't make this decision again. But yeah, Christopher Eccleston is one of the most underrated Doctors, I think, especially when it comes to New Who. A lot of people, when Matt Smith was about, they wouldn't watch Christopher Eccleston's run. They just skip him and go straight to David Tennant. And if you do that, you are missing out on some excellent stories, some amazing acting, really.
The fact that it could have easily flopped, I think, if there's a lesser actor in the main role. Like bringing it back after like nearly 20 years. That I think he probably had the hardest job any Doctor's had since Patrick Troughton. So he's phenomenal.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, he makes it seem real. You know, there was a good chance that this could have come back and it could have been a goofy kids sci-fi show that nobody watched and faded into obscurity. But the fact that they had such a respected actor at the time come into this role, and even in interviews, he's like, you know, if you can put these stories to children and give them these moral messages, then it carries some good for the future. And I think throughout this, there have been some good sort of messages for the children and families watching it, and he's been at the center of them all, really. But yes, it's very sad to see him go, especially because he doesn't come back.
Oh, what could have been.
I know. I mean, he might. He's back in Big Finish now. He did an interview with Doctor Who magazine, if anyone wants to check that out. And he's back in some audio form. So he's slowly returning. Whether or not he ever returns to the live action show, I don't know. But
yeah, we'll see.
I mean, we never thought he'd come back to Big Finish, so
it's true. Anything can happen.
So who knows? My first one, then, my next one, other than the Ninth Doctor, the sort of Dalek Emperor and his design. I just love it.
Me too.
I don't know. There was just something when I was a kid, just seeing that and thinking, oh, because you know what a Dalek looks like, and you've only seen the one. See, and I didn't know much for Classic Who, so I was just thinking, oh, Daleks just look like that. But seeing this massive, just towering machine that looks like a Dalek but is very easily different to a Dalek, and his voice and the gravitas that he has, and just the power, I thought that was an incredibly well designed villain. Something that was actually quite scary, to be fair. Not
Yeah.
that it would be like, oh my god, oh, I'm gonna have nightmares, but like it was creepy.
Yeah.
And so I just applaud the design team that came up with that, and even like the CGI holds up for it. I wasn't there thinking, oh, that's bad CGI. Even the Daleks sort of floating around him, it all
Yeah.
works out really well for me, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my second point's the Dalek Emperor, just because he's best boy. There's not he kills everyone, but he's best
absolute
boy.
unit.
He is. So what's your next best point?
This is actually my third one, but since you just brought him up, the Daleks and the Emperor Dalek.
Yeah.
I thought this is they're at their most ruthless, I think. Well, one of the most ruthless kind of turns in this story. Killing everyone. I love that they went down and killed Roderick and all that lot just because they could. Basically an unstoppable force until Rose comes along. And I think the Emperor himself, the God complex they kind of gave him, he has a unique characterization to him. I think it's really cool. I think Nicholas Briggs, the voice work he does for the Daleks, and has done for a long time now.
The whole time, I think they've ever changed it.
It's always been him, yeah. So God knows what will happen when/if that ever has to change. But yeah, the different voices he can bring to the different Daleks, the booming voice he has for the Emperor. I do think they are, this is one of the best stories, I think, for the Daleks in terms of just how great they can be as villains. In terms of, we've had stories like Resolution, which I think has one singular, really well characterized cool Dalek. And then we've had other stories where just like loads of armies of Daleks. Like, oh god, there's so many of them. I feel like this story has both, with like the Emperor as a single characterization and a whole big ass army of half human Daleks. Even though the whole thing with the Doctor's like the Daleks would never allow a half human in season 9. And you're like, well, go back 8 series, mate. But yeah, they're really effective, I think, in this story. So yeah, I love the Daleks as the villains anyway. The Emperor just made them even better.
Yeah, I think some people might have seen the Dalek story earlier in the series and thought coming back to him in the finale might be cheap fan service, whatever. But I think that they justify the use of them in this. I think it does really feel like a series finale episode. It feels like they're a real threat to everyone, and the fact that they go down and they kill everyone that's not even trying to attack them. They just go down and just wipe everyone out on that floor.
Yeah, I think it's very clever that they had the single Dalek story earlier on with just the one, and they're like, well, that was such a faff to get rid of that one bastard, and he ended up killing himself anyway. How do we actually kill this whole bloody army? So I think that's very clever. If it had been like an army of Daleks in episode 6, and then again here, it'd have been like, oh yeah. But yeah, I think it's very well planned out.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. My sort of last best bit then, and it sort of ties in with the Daleks, is the death scenes. I'm going to sort of put 2 points into one here, but Linda's and Jack's death. I think they're both excellent. Linda's especially.
I think Linda's might be my favorite Dalek death ever. I think.
Yeah, it's just because
I love her, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why that's what adds it. Like everyone sort of loves Linda. She's brought in to be this wholesome person that you want to see succeed, and to just see her brutally murdered. She doesn't even like properly get exterminated. Like she doesn't get shot.
I love the setup where they're like, oh my god, they're gonna cut open the door and kill her, but then they're just like, surprise, bitch,
hi.
we're behind you. And when you can see them saying exterminate, but you can't hear it. So good.
Yeah, the whole design of that scene, and like even the fact that they introduce this new Dalek that has this other equipment on him to do it, and he's just there for that one, just like the throwaway, oh yeah, they're gonna break in, and then it just cuts to them outside, and the Doctor's line of it's reinforced against meteor strikes or whatever, and it just shows that the Daleks are no match for anything. Doesn't matter what it is. And she doesn't even get properly exterminated. She effectively gets sucked out into the atmosphere and dies that way.
Yeah.
Which is brutal. Like the Daleks could have easily just waited to get through that door, but they purposely targeted her. And maybe they did that on purpose because they knew she was in contact with the Doctor and they knew it would rile him up.
I think I know how it happened. I think
Yeah.
Rose got in contact with them and said, "Mike,
Yeah, kill
this
this bitch.
window here, kill
Yeah.
that bitch."
Yes, yeah, we'll come on to Rose, I'm sure. And then Jack as well, his death, although he sort of comes back alive at the end. I just love that he's the last man. He's shooting them. He goes through one gun. He goes through his second gun, and then he just accepts it. He's just there going, right, I'm gonna just stand here for as long as I can, just to give the Doctor some more time. And he just welcomes it almost. He's like, yep, fine, just kill me. I'm ready.
Do it.
But yeah, I think that's very typical of the character as well. That he's just got no fear in front of this literal deadly force. And you know, he's not immortal at this point. He is mortal. This is his death. If it wasn't for Rose, he would not have come back. And I just think that's a character that we've not seen, I don't think, in Doctor Who since, that was just so willing to stand in front of some Daleks and go, right, I'll die for this. But yeah, I think both of the death scenes are incredible pieces of TV.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
And of course, the "you lied to me, the bullets don't work" woman.
Yes.
Who we've joked about for a very long time.
There are a number of lines in this show, in this episode especially, which have stuck with me. First of all, it's the because Jack comes surprising. I thought it was always later, but it's surprisingly early on in the episode. After Jack said, "Look, these bullets will kill them. You know, if you aim at the eye stalk, the bullets will, kill them, whatever." And so he's gone down to floor 0 and gone, "Hey, anybody want to come fight?" And then he takes them back up, and the woman, because she's the weakest link, like manager.
Yeah.
She's literally the first person that we see die. And all she's just shooting and shooting, and then she stops, goes, "You lied to me. The bullets don't work." Then she goes back, and then she's dead.
I shouldn't though, because it's awful. But oh my goodness!
But and it's just that moment. Although the line sticks in my head, but that just shows how sort of, even though she was like, "Shit, it's not working," but I need to do my best to stop this advance. And then I don't know, I assume the Daleks would just hover over the dead bodies, but like, do they just sort of push them out of the way as they go past?
Oh, can you imagine? Like, they need to bring in a Dalek that just has like a mop instead of a plunger. They just like sweep up the bodies. That'd be great.
There's that one, and then I'll throw this in as well because we've been talking about death scenes. Roderick's death.
Yeah.
We mentioned it yesterday. Last week, Roderick was one of my favorite characters in the last episode. He's underused in this one, but effectively he doesn't believe that he's a COVID denier. He's the equivalent of a COVID denier. The Daleks don't exist. They're not real. I'm not going to get killed by them. They won't kill me. It doesn't exist. And then they go down and they kill him. And what makes it even better is the fact that he's just so like up himself that he thinks he doesn't deserve to die. You can't kill me. I'm rich. You can't kill me. I've won the game.
Yeah.
And it's just, I don't know what it is about it, but I just the comeuppance that he gets for this.
Yeah.
It's just that character arc. It's the best character arc
in Doctor Who history.
Yeah, he just goes from being a dick to being dead. Great, amazing.
I feel bad for the programmer people as well. That woman who's like, "Oh,
yeah,
get a drink after this." Instantly killed.
Yeah, well, that's the
I feel less bad for the guy because he was a bit stupid after that. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I think their story as well. That's like, and I'll come on to this, but there's a couple of other sort of B-line plots going through this episode. And I think that's the best B-line plot for me, is their relationship. You sort of see it simmering in the first, and then he's like mentioned, "Oh, I only came here because of you. Should we get a drink?" And part of me thinks, I don't know if they're being naive or they just sort of think, we're not getting out of this. Sure, I'll just take my shot. And even she doesn't say yes. She's still in that flirty no, wink.
Yeah.
And then she dies, and then
we did it.
yeah. Because they kill them. They don't even kill a Dalek.
He blinded one Dalek. He did nothing.
Yeah. And then she dies, and then I get him, because that, like, effectively at that point he has nothing to live for.
Yeah.
which is, what's sad about this. And he just goes for it. And at that point as well, when he dies, you see everyone else apart from Jack on that barricade is dead. Like,
Yeah.
it cuts to Jack and you see over his shoulder, there is another dead body there. It's like, oh shit.
Oh dear.
And then, I don't know, we'll stick with more deaths. The android,
Ah, yes.
that scene as well, that is, when I saw this, for the first time, even now, I just forget the android is a thing.
Yeah.
Because it was just such a throwaway thing in the past episode. It's like, oh, it's floor 495 or whatever it is. And like, oh, I like floor 495. And then it just cuts to the android. And then the sort of three Daleks arrive. It's like, who are you? I'm like, first of all, why would they say who are you? But I guess because it's a robot, they might think, don't need to bother with it. It's a robot. It's not going to do us much harm. And then it literally says they're the weakest link. And they're still there going, hang on, what? And then kills them. And then it ties back into, if they watched the shows, they would know what the android does.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of comeuppance for that, strangely enough. But then the next lot of Daleks come in, just fuck off. They're just like, no, we saw what happened last time. I'm not having it. The only problem I have with that is, why do they only put one android in there? They say there's other weakest link shows. Get all of the androids in there, line them up, and just keep firing.
I wonder if this is how the Daleks survived. Because before it was just a disintegration ray. She didn't actually kill anyone. So maybe she just sent the Daleks back to their ship and they're like, well, bye.
They keep going around.
That was lucky.
Yeah, could you imagine? Yes, maybe there's a novelization where it canonizes that.
When the novelization comes out and that's not a thing, I'll be very angry.
But yes, so that was my last, a very long best of just deaths.
Death.
Deaths in this are great. So what was your sort of third point
then? Just like the thematic conclusion to the series with this episode. I feel like this is thematically probably one of the strongest kind of closings of an arc, I think, in terms of Nine's arc kind of being brought back around to him having to face that same decision to kill everything. He chooses against it. The bad wolf gets resolved and stuff. They bring up the fact that Rose met Pete as a way of convincing Jackie to kind of help them get her back. The lone Dalek earlier in the series to kind of set up the powerful force of an entire army of them, and the Heart of the TARDIS being set up in Boomtown so that Rose knew a way of getting back to the Doctor. I think that was a very cleverly kind of orchestrated set of events that are very well paid off in this finale for the most part.
Yeah. I think the only bit that I didn't like about that is the fact that they did a flashback for the Heart of the TARDIS thing. I'm like, it's 2 episodes ago.
They do that a lot, don't they?
But I was half expecting them to do it for the Pete thing as well, but they didn't. I'm like, why did you do it for the Heart of the TARDIS but not for Pete? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's saying it can happen and then showing it can happen, doing both. It doesn't matter, because either people are going to believe that can happen and there's a thing, or they're not going to believe it. Yeah. Showing that it's already happened won't make a difference. But other than that flashback, I think most things do have a good resolution. Even if and this might nip into my worst a little bit, even if I think the bad wolf was forgotten about until 2 episodes ago, until we got to Boomtown, they were kind of like, oh shit, yeah, we've got to do this series arc, by the way. Let's have them talk about it in Boomtown. Let's have them talk about it in the next one, and then we can resolve it in the third one. Even though, again, it is seeded in the series, even if it's not as obvious. And it is I guess it's so that people rewatch it and go, oh, it's so that people buy the DVDs. That's really what it is. It's so they go, oh yeah, I did see that. But yeah, I do agree that this really rounds off the series one. There's no plot holes where you can be like, oh, I guess other than Jack being alive at the end, there's no sort of moments where you're like, oh, hang on a minute, what happened to this? What happened to this person? What happened there? Which I think becomes more of a problem towards series 6. I think overdoes it a little bit with things like that.
Mm-hmm.
With the silence arc, because that doesn't really get resolved in series 6, whereas I don't think there's a carryover from this. But somebody did point out that, thank God, these story arcs don't carry on into the other ones. Imagine seeing Bad Wolf with Jodie Whittaker; it just wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But I think they successfully explain that away, because she says that it's specifically targeted at Rose to put her sort of there.
Mm.
I guess is fine.
Yeah, just
Even though the
call a
only time,
helicopter bad wolf.
yeah, yeah.
Put it on a bomb in a different language that Rose doesn't understand. Fine.
Well, that's it. The only time that it really triggers something in her is that last moment. But you could argue
Yeah.
that it only triggers that because she's noticed it previously. I guess.
Sure.
That's fine. But yeah, I do agree. We'll go on to the worst then. I've got a couple. I've got sort of maybe two sort of big-ish ones and most of nitpicks.
Yeah, mine are really nitpicky this week.
Ooh.
I really did struggle.
Ah, interesting.
I must admit.
I think for me personally, and I sort of, it took me a while to think of this one. I hadn't written it down originally, but then I was sort of thinking about it like an hour after the episode finished. The Earth scenes when Rose gets sent back, I just didn't care. I was just like, there's a giant Dalek fleet attacking a space station, and people are trying to stop them, and you're showing me Rose in a chippy. Like, show me the Daleks killing people, please.
I guess there's a sense of there's a sense of pointlessness to it in a way. Because I'm just like when Mickey's like, you need to forget about it and think about a life you could have with me. I was like, didn't you learn this lesson 2 episodes ago when you like left her? Like you just completely undone it. Like, what's the point?
I know, and so I just don't. It's not that they're bad, to be fair. It's not that they're like, oh my god, this is the worst character dialogue I've ever seen. Although there is that line about the pizza shop, where and I wasn't really paying attention at this point, but then I just sort of heard it because I was writing something else down. I'm like, hang on a minute. The line is Mickey going, oh, have you tried that new pizza shop on whatever street? And Jackie goes, no, what do they sell? Pizza. I was like, what?
I think it's supposed to be a joke about the mundaneness of life, but yes, I'm not quite sure it lands.
Maybe, but like, just say like, oh, pizza, kebabs, just, I don't know, something else. Because why would Jackie ask, what does a pizzeria sell? That doesn't, I don't think, I know she's not the smartest person, but that doesn't sell.
She's not that dumb, yeah.
No, but, and yeah, it is a good contrast to show the sort of the mundane life that Rose could be going back to if she doesn't go back to the Doctor. But don't put a massive Dalek fleet attacking a space station and then make me watch people on Earth, and especially if it's not the Earth that's getting attacked by the Daleks. Like, just don't. There are other ways you could. And I was thinking about this as far. So I thought a lot about this. There are other ways you could have Rose, if all you need her to go back for is to put the time vortex in her. There are other ways you could do it. We already know the TARDIS can sense when it needs to open and show someone something, because it did it in Boomtown. So have, I don't know, the Daleks all appear on exactly the same way as it almost does. The Doctor decides not to kill everyone. They go to shoot Rose. Don't know, the TARDIS doors are open for some reason. She's running in. She gets shot. And then to save her, the TARDIS opens, the vortex goes in, and then it just carries on as normal. And then the Doctor effectively does save her life twice. Once from the vortex, once from the Dalek shot. So you don't need to really put her at Earth. I don't think.
I suppose it's so she can work out the bad wolf thing, isn't it?
Yes, which is also why I sort of thought it's a little bit forced in these 3 episodes that Bad Wolf is in there.
Yeah, when she was sat on the bench, how did she not see it sooner? It's like
yeah,
huge.
She was too depressed. That's all.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I can accept it. Like I said, it's not like, oh my god, this has ruined the episode. I just think they could have done it better, and I just really liked the Dalek stuff more than I liked the Earth stuff, really.
Yeah.
Even though we do get the amazing Ninth Doctor hologram scene with Rose, because it's just not. Part of me was thinking, when did he record this? But then I was like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Maybe the TARDIS just automatically generates it, like, because it has a profile and it's science fiction. It could do it if it wanted to. It doesn't have.
Yeah,
to
I'm
make
sure
sense.
when she was asleep at some point, he was like, "Oh, just in case, let's set this up."
Yeah. But when he just turns his head and looks directly out, I was like, oh, my heart. Oh, my overstimulated energy drink filled heart.
He just wants to have a good life.
Even if the TARDIS will eventually grow and take up the whole block, it's fine. It's fine. But yeah, that was my very long tangenty first worst. What was yours?
Okay. This kind of ties into yours a bit. I felt like there was barely an impact of the Daleks attacking the Earth down below the station. I felt like It didn't really show it. Did they even need to bother it? It was just Linda looking at the screen going, oh, now this is gone.
They've
Oh, now this
slightly
is gone.
warped it. And I'm
Now this is gone.
yeah,
Why even bother showing this?
yeah.
Just be like, oh, that's the next stage of our plan once we kill everyone here and just focus on that. It felt like, since I know, budget and stuff, they probably couldn't have shown it, but then just don't even talk about it. Just leave it. It's fine.
Yeah, and then especially because I think they rectify this in Stolen Earth. They finally do show the Daleks attacking Earth.
Yeah.
But I do think this could have done with some scenes at the ground level. And it's the same with the long game. That had the same problem. We could have done with more episodes, more shots on Earth showing the impact. So yeah, it didn't feel necessary to have Linda at the screen. I guess that's why she was there, to track the Daleks and what they were doing, and they were on Earth, and it's just, oh, they've destroyed America. Slightly warps. Oh, they've not destroyed it. It's still there. I can see it. Yeah, I do think it could have done with more, but budget, I think, is the main thing. Again, they might have explored it into Big Finish. It would surprise me if they haven't. There's probably some stuff out there that explains what happened. But yeah, I do kind of agree. My second worst, and we're rounding off the series back where we started.
Okay.
Rose.
Here we are.
She had some great character development, I think, in this series. But I think when she got back to Earth, it ruined it.
I think I like the speech because it kind of ties into the whole arc of the series where she's like, the doctor showed you a better way of living your life. After that.
When she has the tantrum and she like throws the table, I'm like, all right, Rose.
Careful of the chips, Rose.
There's no need to throw the table. Just, you've made your point. And that sort of links to the fact that she is still a teenager. She's 19 years old. She's not like a proper adult like we are at 24.
Yeah. But, look at us.
But I don't think I would throw a tantrum at a chippy, but who knows? Maybe I would if the scenario called for it.
I'm definitely afraid of making a scene, so probably not.
Yeah, exactly. That tantrum I didn't like. Although I liked that she referenced meeting Pete, I didn't like that she used it to emotionally manipulate Jackie.
That's true.
Because I was like, this would be nice if there was, but she just drops it on Jackie. She just drops that. Like, imagine that happening to you. That's just so much to process.
Yeah.
Like I felt slightly uncomfortable with it. Because she's literally just telling her this to make her feel bad for not helping her. And I was like, that's definitely not what your dad would have wanted.
Yeah.
Even though you are right, and he would have wanted you to go back to the doctor and save him, he wouldn't want you to hurt your mum in the process.
Yeah.
And then naturally we have her and Linda as well. Just when Linda's like, oh, get on with it, just her face
she's
in
like,
the foreground. She's like, oh, which is the same face that she pulls in School Reunion when Mickey asks to come along.
Yeah.
Anytime someone like tries to have some kind of relationship with the doctor, she just hates it. Yeah, she can go off and have relationships with whoever she wants. The doctor, Mickey, Captain Jack, it doesn't matter. Adam, it's, and again, it might be that teenage thing, and she does get better in the series too. That arc does eventually get more progress. But she's really up and down in this with sometimes how she reacts to people, I think. But again, another long tangent about why I don't like Rose in this episode. I did think that her coming back and her being the Super Rose was great.
Mm-hmm.
It was a bit ex machina-y, but okay, again, it's sci-fi.
I think I'm okay with this because it does have consequences because it literally kills the doctor.
Yeah. If it was just I'll absorb it and it's done, it's a bit. But clearly, the doctor has a problem with absorbing types of radiation because that's 2 regenerations it happens in this series at least. Yeah. Because no, just the 2 because Matt Smith is just old age.
Yeah.
And then Capaldi is explosion.
Yeah. Electrocuted by a Cyberman and explosion.
Yes. But yeah, I like her resolution. I like that even though you can see her makeup streaming where her tear went, I was like, it's fine. And I like that, even if the "I think you need a doctor" line is very cheesy.
It is very cheesy.
But it still works, and it's great. But yeah, Rose before that, before she comes back, it's just like we've reverted back to episode 2 again when she's like disgusting at everything. But never mind. Again, it's not something that I'm like, this ruins the episode. I can deal with it because
yeah, me too. Yeah,
although she's a central part, she's not like the focus of the episode.
yeah.
But again, another long tangent. So what's your next worst?
Rose. I mean, I don't mind Rose most of the time, but when she was rude to Linda, I was like, you don't even know this woman. Why are you like, oh, I hate her. Like, for God's sake. And I just feel like, oh, even more so when she's like, there's nothing left for me here. I'm going to go back to the doc. Like, at least your mum's here. Even if you and Mickey aren't going to be a thing, your mum is here. Like, my goodness, woman. And I just feel like that whole harshness, I guess, undermines her character a bit. That and the punky frisch jumper in the big climactic sequence.
Yeah.
But I feel like what they were going for with Rose this series was, oh, we're going to do something a bit different with the companion, explore the impact of time traveling on her family. So we're going to spend a lot of time with them, get to know them. And then the message is, well, you know, when you travel with the Doctor long enough, you're not going to care about your family. Yeah. So what's the point of even doing it if she just disregards it? And this is, I'm talking way in advance here. I think it's a bit rich of people to moan about the same thing with Clara, but Rose is the perfect companion. And at least with Clara and that arc, they make a point of showing that it's bad. But here, Rose is like, oh, the perfect person we should all love. No, I'm making a stand.
Yep. Well, that's it. Like growing, like when I was a child, I thought Rose was great. You know, she was top tier companion, whatever. But as I got older, and rewatched it more, I just thought she's a terrible human being, especially in series 1. She's just, and I've said it all along, and I still get backlash for it, for saying she's like the worst. But she is like, just if we just look at it on how she treats Mickey alone, you know, that's not nice.
It's like when you rewatch Friends and you realize Ross is an awful human being.
Yes, exactly. Because when you're growing up, you think, oh, they're all funny, whatever. And then you're like, oh, hang on a minute, that character's not that great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I've sort of simmered. I used to not like Clara, and I've literally gone like this, I think, with them. They're not like the same, but they're sort of more towards the middling. Because I'm at the point where I think there are no bad companions and there are no bad doctors. It's just bad stories.
Yeah.
And even that, they're not like terrible stories. They're just not as good as other ones.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with your Rose point, and I agree with the comparison with Clara. And people make the same arguments about Amy and Rory. And but yeah, we see better versions of what they tried with this character arc with series 3 and Martha, I think, with the impact, especially on her family.
Yeah, I'm going to praise the fuck out of Martha when we get to series 3. Yeah, I can't wait. But yeah,
I get what you mean. So sort of my next sort of, I guess, worsts are just nitpicks, and we've spoken about a couple of them. Needed more Future Earth impact, I think, was one of mine. Why only one android was another sort of nitpick. The pizza dialogue was also another nitpick. And then my sort of other two, why was it only Jack that was brought back from death?
Mm-hmm.
When everybody on that space station and countless others on Earth died. She only brings
Rose,
back
you're
Jack.
So selfish.
Like,
you could have brought everyone back.
But, she didn't see Jack die, so she doesn't even know that he's dead.
Yeah.
Unless she sensed it, unless she saw it with the time vortex, because you know she does say that she can see past, future, whatever.
Well, maybe I suppose no, because in series 4 she doesn't know he can come back to life when he gets killed, so she doesn't know.
But maybe that's the time vortex, because when she wakes up, she doesn't remember, does she?
True.
When she wakes up in the TARDIS, she doesn't remember doing any of that. So maybe doing that, because she could see past, futures. Maybe she saw that Jack was still needed to be important, and he still needed to do the Yana stuff, and he still needed to be there for series 3, and he needs to do everything with Torchwood. So maybe that's why she brought him back. At least that's what I'm going to say it is, because there are so many other people on that space station that died. And sort of sticking on Jack as well. I don't get why, from a plot point of view, I don't know why 9 left Jack behind.
Yeah, in Utopia, he's like, I saw what you became and I was scared. And I'm like, really? Like,
Yeah.
help him then. He's your friend.
Yeah, he's just bye. I'm leaving. But
At least
again,
tell him what's going to happen to him now.
yeah,
Like,
but again, like he didn't. Nine didn't see Jack come out the door and say, "Hi, I'm still alive," and then bolt.
yeah,
He
he just
left
left.
before that.
Yeah,
Because when Jack comes through the door, the TARDIS is already, I think, gone or very close to finally being gone. So I think that's harsh on Jack. I know that Rusty Davis explained it away as he just wanted to have Rose there and experience it from her point of view, rather having the Jack there who might be more used to things like this.
yeah,
But I still think it's very harsh to leave Jack just
yeah.
there like that.
I feel like, yeah, plot and character wise, it doesn't feel quite so
Especially if
right.
he's the only person left alive on that space station.
Yeah,
He's got, and I know in that Big Finish one where Jack it talks about his immediate bit, he did vortex manipulate it back to Earth, and he's living on that Earth for however long until he can whatever. But
I've just got these visions of like if she brought everyone back and like Linda just like goes back to life in space, then dies again straight away because she's just sucked in.
just keeps living
or
and dying.
like, yeah, or like the
Oh,
people
gosh.
that apparently like disintegrated. They just these puffs of ash going, and they just die.
Yeah. Yes.
She just brings back all the Daleks. No.
Well, that's the other thing. But yeah, and she clearly has some control over who she brings back and who she doesn't. So
Yeah.
maybe she's sort of Jack was dead. Maybe whatever. That's fine. And then the other one was, and this is a very big nitpick for me. They blow up a Dalek in the TARDIS, but then it's gone. Where did it go?
They ate it.
Like, and I know it's not a big thing, but it's in there like when they run back to the TARDIS and leave the Dalek ship. But it's not in there when Rose gets sent back, and it's not in there ever again. Did they take it out? Did he put it in storage somewhere?
I don't know.
But again, that could be something that's a very small thing.
Yeah.
But it's clearly just we don't need to get rid of it. But it would have been nice to sort of have just them pushing it out, or just have it like on the floor somewhere nearby. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like I said, a very big nitpick. It definitely doesn't ruin the episode, but it's one thing I did think of. So yes, what's your sort of last worst?
My last one, yeah. It's kind of nitpicky, I guess. I feel like the Delta wave and how it's explained is a bit fuzzy because the doctor's like, oh, it'll take 3 days? And obviously he's like rushing and stuff. I guess
20 minutes. Oh,
then I can do it in 22 minutes. And yeah, the Dalek's like, well, you can't refine it to like just get rid of the Daleks and stuff. But if it estimated like this super smart man, the doctor, being like, oh, it's gonna take about 3 days to like do this properly, you can still get it to a working point that quickly is kind of crazy, especially when he ends up just not using it anyway. It all feels a bit weird, but again, that's a very, very tiny nitpick, and I only really have an issue with it because it's such a crucial plot point for like that is basically most of his scenes in the episode is him building that. So that's the only reason I'm a bit like, yeah,
it's just him putting props together and going like that.
It's so easy to just say 22 minutes. Okay, I can do that.
Yeah.
But
they need to show that he's smart and he's working quicker under pressure.
Yeah.
And then it's that line as well where the guy turns around and says how long it takes. I never know if he's saying 22 minutes or afraid 20 minutes.
I thought that as well.
And then they're going...
The script says 22 minutes.
Okay. Because I've always assumed it was like afraid 20 minutes. I was like, okay.
I always thought he said afraid 2 minutes. I was like, what? They're doomed.
Yeah, I know. So, that's could have been clearer. But I do kind of agree. And they do explain it away with some science about how he's going to do it, how it's a satellite that broadcasts, so he has that to his advantage. So maybe the fact that it was a broadcasting station helped move that along because he didn't have to set that up to start with, I guess.
Yeah.
And maybe sending the TARDIS back did help. Who knows? Maybe he wasn't lying when he sent Rose back. But yeah, I guess that's sort of our best and worst points, really.
Yeah.
Are there any other sort of bits you wanted to add on?
I've got fun facts, of course.
Yeah. Let me just take another. I think. Ooh, drop my foot. I think before we do finish, I think we should sort of put in a slight point of the regeneration scene. It does introduce us to David Tennant.
It does.
The new 10th Doctor. What are your sort of first impressions seeing him in this scene?
I like his teeth.
Yes.
Bit weird.
Yeah.
I think considering Billy Piper wasn't there with him, he did a pretty cool job. And yeah, obviously he's like 30 seconds and stuff. And I guess the fact that he remembers Barcelona is fun, but then it gets all a bit higgledy-piggledy afterwards. It's kind of a fun thing. I feel like the true test of him is like watching the Children Need clip that came a bit after, because he actually has a lot to do in that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he seems like an energetic soul, and I'm sure we'll see more of that.
I'm sure we'll see loads of that in the next episode.
Can't wait for him to do loads in his first full story.
Ironically, and it's ironic because David Tennant's my favourite, I hated it. I remember just being not happy that Chris Eccleston was going, and I was like, I don't want this new guy. And I was the same with Matt Smith. I was the same, like, I don't want David Tennant to leave. I don't like this new guy. Because as a child, you know, you would grow attached to a character. You don't want them to go. You want to keep seeing them. And I was just, and it's what a few people are still like now in adulthood. When there's a change in the show, they're like, oh, I don't want it. I'm thinking the same.
I stopped watching when David Tennant left. I washed my hands after shaking your hand.
Yeah, exactly. And I just remember just not liking it. And I was like, I remember going into the Christmas Invasion thinking, I'm not gonna like this man. But then I did. So it's just one of the things that happens.
It's the classic cycle. Everyone goes through it.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought this scene, knowing that I love him moving forwards now, I thought this scene basically does easily sum up what his Doctor's going to be like over the course of the next 5 years. 5 years,
yeah.
4 seasons, and 4 specials, I guess.
Sure.
Depends if you class the next Doctor in that. I don't know, but yeah. So yeah, we'll move on to your fun facts.
Yeah,
hit me with them.
Hit me with your fun facts. Okay, well, we'll start with the one that you definitely don't already know, because you messaged it to me yesterday and took the wind from my sails. This is the first story to kill the entire guest cast since the horror of Fan Rock 28 years previously, and it doesn't happen again until the Doctor's wife 6 years later.
What a shock! But I read that, I was like, yeah, because there's only like 3 guest stars in the Doctor's wife.
I know.
It's like, it's not the same thing,
but it counts.
I also liked with that one, I like the comparison you can draw it with The Empty Child, where everybody lived. In this one, literally everybody except for one character dies.
Yeah.
Although Jack comes back and although the Doctor regenerates, everybody except Rose died.
Yeah.
It's incredible if you think it. But yes.
Even the Daleks themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
F in the chat.
Even the android.
Even the android. Oh no.
Oh.
There's like another 39 in the other rooms. It's fine.
Yeah.
So yes, Rusty Davies had a different draft ready for this episode in case the Emperor Dalek prop was unusable. That featured Davros, so that would have been interesting to bring about that early. That's probably would have been a lot of baggage from the Time War, so I'm kind of glad it didn't happen.
Yeah.
This is the first same-sex kiss on screen in the Doctor Who franchise with Jack and the Doctor.
So we didn't even speak about that. That's a great way for Jack to have the last proper interactions with Jack and Rose, I think. With Nine and Rose, I think. Just him leaving, kissing both of them, and exactly the same way. Yeah. It fits his character great. Although he's not in this episode very much, everything we see of Jack is on point for his character, I think.
Yeah. Agreed. This is the first time the Doctor regenerates standing up.
Oh.
And he has continued to do so up until this point.
Even though he collapses,
Jodie, let's change it up.
He collapses like two minutes afterwards, but it's fine.
I know. It's fine. It counts.
They all collapse like 2 minutes after they do it, so.
Indeed. I mentioned this already, but David Tennant filmed his scenes much, much later, so all he had was a piece of tape where Billy Piper's eye line was to act with, so good for him.
Basically the same acting level.
Yeah. This is a bit of a Doctor Who and Harry Potter trivia, so here we go. David Tennant played Barty Crouch Jr. in Harry Potter, the 4th film, and the chapter where they are physically introduced in the book is called The Parting of the Ways. Oh. And his first appearance in Doctor Who is an episode called The Parting of the Ways.
With his weird in Harry Potter, which I've always thought is a very strange acting choice, but whatever, David, you go for it.
You had to get the clues in that it's not right, I guess.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we talked about this already. Jack was left behind because they want to explore Rose's affection on the regeneration. Blah 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 blah. The Hungarian title of this episode translates to "We meet after the battle," which is kind of fun and dark.
I guess. Okay.
There was an alternative ending filmed for this episode that they showed to the press to try not to spoil the regeneration of Chris Eccleston, even though it had already been spoiled. And it showed the TARDIS scanning Rose in that final scene and revealing that she was dying. But obviously that was just done to throw the press off. It was never meant to be explored or continued. But release it, God damn it, it's never been released. And then my final one, I had to save it for last because it's about Linda. In the lockdown stories that came out last year during lockdown, they did a story all about Pete's World, the parallel Earth. And in that world, Linda is the one who is made immortal by Rose and not Jack.
I didn't even read that one. It's not in my book, I don't think.
So there you go.
I'll have to have a Google of that after I've finished
And
this.
most importantly, she's Linda with an I in that parallel world.
She's the worst, Linda.
So there you go.
I'll have to. Maybe I skipped. I shouldn't have skipped it, but I'll have to give it a read. I don't think it was in the book because they released for Children in Need. They released the Adventures in Lockdown, which I thought had most of them in because it had Norris Hames one in it, but it didn't have the Sarah Jane one, and it didn't have. I don't think it had that one. So, that's sort of the fun facts. That's our best. That's our worsts. That's our overall views.
Ding,
so,
ding, 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 ding.
Where will you put this on the scale of 1 to 10?
I don't know. I've been toying with it. You go first.
9.
Okay. I've been torn between 9 and a 9.5.
Okay. So is 9.5? What's the highest you've given so far?
9.5.
What was that for?
I think it was Dr. Dance's. And maybe something else.
So do you think this is as good as the Dr. Dance's then, I guess, is the question.
I feel like I do.
Well, then it's a 9.5.
I guess. But I feel like we've moaned a lot about it in this one.
I know, but that's what I thought. I was like, although I have a lengthy list of worsts, I have I'd say equally lengthy list of best. And I'd watch this again in a heartbeat. I don't think this is a terrible episode. It's not like nothing that's in my worst list ruins this. I can deal with everything in it. And I still just adore the concept of this Dalek attacking the space station. I just think everything about this is great.
Yeah.
So it's a 9.
I feel like I had more genuine complaints with the Dr. Dances, and I still gave it a 9.5. So I'm going to go 9.5 with this one.
Yeah, nice. Why not a 10?
Because it's not the Doctor's wife.
That's fair. I again, my thought was it's a 9 because again, my 9.5 was for Boomtown, and I'd still watch Boomtown more than this. Yeah. Because in Boomtown we still get that TARDIS team, and there's potential for that TARDIS team here, and we get some of it, especially when they materialize around Rose and the Dalek gets blown up. There's more of that camaraderie between them.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. That's it for the 9th Doctor. He's gone. There's no
a 9
more.
for 9 and a 9.5 for 9. I feel like that might be our best scorer, maybe.
Probably, I'd say so.
Pretty damn high.
Yeah, that's it for the 9th Doctor, for Chris Ferguson. We'll never see him again. Next up is, for everybody watching, next up will be a series overview review, I think. Haven't quite decided when that'll come out, whether it'll be midweek or on the weekend. Guess you'll just have to subscribe and find out. But the next episode is the Christmas Invasion. It's going to feel very weird watching a Christmas episode in April.
Yeah.
But what can you do? I don't think Christmas plays into it as much, other than the robot Santas and the killer Christmas
killed
tree.
By a Christmas tree.
And that one, I don't think there's much to it towards Christmas. I don't think.
Yeah, it's just an invasion on Christmas Day, really. It's not really about Christmas.
So what do you remember of that episode? How do you remember feeling about it?
I genuinely don't know. So I'm excited to watch it. I very, very rarely rewatch specials unless they're regeneration ones, to be honest. And this one, I watched probably even less than that. Which I don't remember hating it. I feel like I enjoy it. I really like the cigarettes, from what I remember. and I like the whole final confrontation with the Cigarettes leader and the Doctor and everything with that. But yeah, I genuinely can't really remember exactly how I feel about it, which is why I'm really excited to check it out again.
Yeah, I know that it's very sort of Rose centric. So we'll see how that works, because I think that's the first time we'll have had it since Father's Day, really. But I'd argue that this is even more so. And I remember when it first came out, I remember going to Birmingham to see my family, getting a Radio Times on the way up, and it was the Doctor Who was just the thing on Christmas Day. And in the middle of the magazine, there was just a whole like spread of the Sycorax versus the 10th Doctor, and I was like, "Oh, that looks cool," because they were sword fighting.
Yeah, I remember my granddad coming over on Christmas Day to watch it with us, which never happened because we all hate people in our family. We don't hang out. But he came over. I remember him and my dad losing their shit when the Cyberman turned up in the Next Time like Coming Soon trailer. Yeah. And I was like, I don't know what those are. So I'm going to be excited for you. Yeah, I was like, yay. But so I have very fond memories of that, but I still can't quite remember the episode itself, really.
I have a quick addition to your fun fact, actually. I think this is the last time the Doctor was credited as Doctor Who in the credits.
Yes.
Which I didn't realise they were doing until I read that fact on IMDb. I was like, oh. And then I watched it, I was like, they are actually saying Doctor Who.
Yeah, because Peter Davison was like, just call me the Doctor, for God's sake. And obviously that's one of David Tennant's favourite Doctors, so much so he ended up marrying his daughter. And then he wanted the same thing to happen for him. So
yeah, but and we don't get a Next Time trailer in this. We don't get a here's what's coming up at Christmas. It's just the Doctor Who will return in the Christmas Invasion. So it's all a mystery at this point when it finishes in the summer, and it builds the hype. And yeah, I remember it being the thing to watch on Christmas Day. I still remember liking it. I love David Tennant's introduction in the episode. I think his proper one, his big reveal towards the end rather than the first one. And there are some great character lines like "gonna get killed by a Christmas tree." I think that's great.
Yeah.
And we have the return of Harriet Jones as well. She'll be back for the first time since the Slovene.
Yeah, I know who she is.
Yeah, I'd hope so. She would hope so too, considering she's the Prime Minister at this point.
Spoilers.
Oh, it's fine. We know this anyway. The Ninth Doctor literally said she's going to be the Prime Minister.
I guess.
But yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, so I guess that's all that's left to say, really.
I'm excited to actually watch it since reading the novelization. That'd be fun.
Yes, I might reread the novelization because it's only a short, like 200, 300 words. I might reread it and see what the differences are. Because I think this is the first one that we'll be watching, and there'll already be a book out for it. Because obviously we'd already watched
Dalek. Came out after, yeah.
Oh well, we did have Rose, and we did, I think, touch on it a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. So literally the very first one we did.
I don't think we touched on it a little bit when that came out. But yeah, so that's sort of it. If you want to subscribe, why not do so? Leave some likes, leave some dislikes. I don't know if the dislike button even helps the algorithm. I've seen this week there's like, no, it doesn't. But who cares? Just give it whatever you want. Comment, did you enjoy this episode? Do you want to see Christopher Eccleston back in Doctor Who live action? I know I would. And yeah, we'll be back. Well, you'll see us next time in this week with definitely a series review at some point and some more Battles in Time pack openings, which everybody loves. And this
one,
this one's the bumper one where we each open 22 packs each.
Oh, so that's like the 5-hour one then.
Yeah. So enjoy watching that and enjoy watching us towards the end go, oh, we've got all of these. Keep going through them.
Oh dear.
But that's the fun. And then so you might get 2 midweek ones, who knows? If not, then we'll see you next weekend with hopefully the Christmas Invasion.
Yeah.
Yay. Right, I'm off to get some sleep. Bye.
Oh, bye.